folks, I'm the two guys ride, and today we're down here at the Mecum Car Auction, and we're in Kissimmee, Florida, and we are here with Gary Thomas and this stunning collection that you have.
Thank you.
So thank you for spending some time with us. So let's start with the first question. That is, how did you get into car collecting?
I'd always enjoyed automobiles, and like I'd mentioned earlier, the deal, I'd crawl around on the floor before I could walk, just pushing cars. And then the next thing was the little model cars, building those and trading them for those that had been done and taking them apart and, quote, restoring them then. So then when I finally got out of college, the fellows at the gas plant told me about a little sports car in a barn down the road, and I asked them what kind it was. They said, "Oh, it's red. We don't know." So it ended up being a '57 Thunderbird. So
okay,
when you get started with the Fords, and the auto group is tremendous, but you kind of connect with fellows that may be Ford guys or Chevrolet guys or Mopar. Well, I happen to be Ford.
Yeah.
So I stayed with that.
Well, the car community is a great community.
That's why I stayed in it, or just been enthralled with it because of the people.
Yeah.
It's, of course it could be anything else,
Sure.
It's a shared interest. So
But that people who aren't in the car community often wonder, why do you do that? Well,
yes.
wait until you meet the group that's in there, right?
That's right. Yes, and then if we enjoy art, well, it's just rolling art.
So in looking at your collection, it's pretty appropriate that your first car was red.
Isn't it? I hadn't thought about that. Okay.
Right.
Well,
if you look at your collection, the majority of the cars that are here today,
yes,
are red. Is there a specific reason why you got red, or that's just the way the dice rolled?
Well, I had quite a few red ones, and I thought, it'd be good to bring a few duplicates. And also, I'm not a marketer, but I thought it'd be fun just to kind of have an all-red car exhibit. So.
All right. Now, tell us a little bit about the cars that you have here at this collection.
Okay. I first started collecting Shelbys because the fellows that would show up to the classic Thunderbird breakfast each Saturday morning started bringing Shelbys, and I'd not been introduced to them, and I was really impressed with them. So I started collecting Shelbys, and then Bosses, and then Mustang K-Codes. So I just thought, okay, I'm going to pick out, a couple of red Shelbys, and I wanted to bring 4-speeds and automatics, and from 1966 through 1970, all of Carroll Shelby's years.
Yep.
And then it was, okay, let's bring a few Bosses, because I really love the way the Boss drives, handles, and its performance characteristics. So I ended up with quite a few of those. So there weren't that many red ones. I brought the 2 red ones that I had, but then there were several other colors that we brought.
Right.
Yes.
Now, some of the cars I've noticed, for instance, on the Galaxy 500 that you brought, that appears to be original.
It does. And I've been, having started 40 years ago, I was interested, I could afford also maybe some of the cars that had not been restored.
Right.
But then I enjoyed those that had not been. But then, there were some that were not restored, but then after you look at them for a while, this car needs some TLC.
Yes.
So then we'd go ahead and restore it.
Okay.
So it's just the history of them. And the gentleman I happened to buy that car from, he had 3 special interest cars, and all 3 were unrestored. So he had started early. He worked for Arco in Andrews, Texas. There was no place really to have a car restored. Okay. So he just took care of really nice original cars.
So your Bronco, you have 2 Broncos here.
Yes.
Okay, and those, at least one of them I got a chance to just look into, looks pretty original as well. I mean, the interior, it's fun to see those.
Didn't it? I know it. And then that was a fun story because I mentioned, having graduated from college. Well, my roommate called me just this past year, and dear old Herb said, I've got 3 cars I need to sell, and I know you like cars. Would you buy them? Well, my next question was, what are they? Well, he started talking about a Chevrolet. I listened. He was really adamant about the Chevrolet. I said, what else? He said, I've got a couple of Fords you might be interested in. Oh, yes. Tell me about those. And he said he had the '82 Bronco that he never drove.
Wow.
What do you mean you never drove? And he said, well, it's got 3,500 miles on it.
Oh, my gosh.
So Yes, it's pretty original.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And then the other one is the Sport Bronco, 96, the last year of the Bronco before they came out now. And it was just kind of the more refined. And they had the Sport Edition, which came in red, black, or white. And I happened to find the 40,000 mile red one. So,
wow.
Oh, it's red again.
Red again. That's all right. It's all right. It just happens sometimes.
Yes.
Now you've got a Lightning F-150.
Yes.
You've got an older F-100.
Right.
I love both of those. Now they both happen to be red. We'll let that be where it is. But
yes.
What's driving the Lightning?
Okay. When I was working in Midland, Texas, and they always say it's 300 miles to anywhere. Well, the 93 Lightning came out, and I was impressed with it, and I bought one. And before I knew it, I had 80,000 miles on it. It's just such a tremendous vehicle to drive as a daily driver. So then a fellow wanted it in Houston, so I traded it to him. And I kind of missed it, but then I found this 93 Cobra that has 1,200 miles on it. A gentleman older than me in Austin, Texas bought it to take to car shows, and that's what he did. So I ended up buying it, and then it made me long more for the 93 Lightning, the two SVTs that were made that year.
Okay.
And of course, I found the red one that had 18,000 miles, and in Florida.
Wow.
Attorney here in Florida owned that truck.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Very nice.
Yes.
Now, is there amongst all your cars?
Yes.
I know they're all your babies and they're all your favorites, right? But is there a particular couple, one or so that you could think of? So it doesn't have to be the only one.
Yes.
But just kind of every time you sit in that car, it just kind of it tickles you a little bit. It's like, this is one of my favorites.
Yes, we car guys enjoy that, and it's pretty neat when you crank one up and you just feel all the hairs on the back of your neck stand up with excitement. So there's quite a number of those.
Okay.
And I'm always asked, which is your favorite, and that's probably the most difficult.
Yeah,
and
I don't think you can pick one.
The favorite of these, well, no, I don't have one, but then you start talking about the history of this car or that car,
right?
And it's just neat to share the stories of the cars. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And us being caretakers, I'm hopeful that the new caretakers have that kind of interest, so I can share, the story of that car, so they can continue to pass that on.
That's right.
Yes.
Absolutely. So you have several generations
yes, sir.
Of cars, which is really cool to see the changes.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite generation?
I'll throw you a curve. It might be a 1932 Ford. I collect from 1932 through 2020.
Okay.
And I like the 1932 Fords because that was high performance in the time.
Yeah.
Darrell Henry Ford came out with a V8 to catch up again or surpass Chevrolet. But, I enjoy the history. So the 30s,
there's a lot of history
40s,
with those. Yep.
The 50s are some really neat cars. But I would say in the 60s, and especially, this early 60s, well, even through 69. So it was really all the performance era that went on, probably to me, being a Ford guy, through the 1971 Boss 351s.
Okay.
Yes.
That's awesome.
But I didn't have a red one.
You didn't have a red one? Well, you do have other colors.
That's right.
It just so happened that a lot of them were red that came in, right? Yeah. Right. This is part of your collection, and you have some more yet at home. So you're not getting rid of all your toys.
Oh, no.
All right.
No.
Because we'd have to have a pity party for you if you were going home to no cars.
That's correct. Yes. I had talked to one gentleman that is selling all of his cars, and I just, felt concerned for him. I know it.
Oh, man.
But yes,
that would be not a feeling.
He might find another one while he's here.
He might find more than one.
Right. Yes.
Well, Gary, I'll ask one more question, and that is, do you have, working with cars and everything, and having collected them, is there a favorite memory that you have? And it could just be a feeling. Now, you talked about the car community, how great that is.
Okay, good question. And there's quite a few of those feelings. And I think about, the first 1932 Ford I bought. And I got a friend to go with me because it was I was living in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I bought the 32 Ford, which was in Austin, Texas. We got on a plane and flew there and drove it home. And that was great on the highway and sharing that. And then one other time when I bought my first Boss 302, I was in Atlanta, Georgia, and I bought it. I was so excited about it, and I got in at 5 o'clock, one afternoon, and I drove probably 600 or 800 miles. I drove from there to Midland, Texas, and got in the next morning at like 9:30 in the morning. I couldn't get out of it. So then you just get attached to the car.
Yes.
Then I think about the first Shelby. So some of it has to do with some of the firsts that you've had.
Yep.
And also when you take the road trip, because you really connect to it.
Oh, you get to spend some time in the car.
It's great memories. And then the other part of that is when you might buy a car from someone and you've just met them and you became lifelong friends with them. So it gets back to the people.
Back that. A lot of good memories. Though.
Absolutely.
So having collected cars for over 40 years.
Yes.
To someone who's starting out in car collecting, what's one piece of piece of advice you'd say here are the most two important things you need to remember or one?
And I really do appreciate that question. Just thinking about those that are starting to collect, and we want to see all this preserved for the younger generations. But what I would say is if there's something that you just have a real passion for, a particular car or type, it's just be patient. You might have to save your money a little while, but buy that car, and it's one that then you'll cherish and it'll probably get passed on and you'll just enjoy it completely. And then, don't stop with that one. You'll be meeting other people, they'll be sharing with you, you'll be continuing to learn, and then your interest will continue to grow.
There you go, from a man who's collected for 40 years, folks. Well, Gary, thank you so much for spending your time with us today and visiting with us and sharing us a little bit about your story and your passion with your cars. We sure appreciate it.
Okay. Well, y'all seem to be car guys too, so enjoyed that. Thank you.
Yes, we are. And thanks for watching, folks.